And Friday will mark 20 years since Hurricane Katrina made landfall. While much of the national attention focused on New Orleans, the storm carved a path of devastation. Mike McDaniel shows us storm's toll and the response it followed, and also talks about how it still shapes disaster planning today.
You can see this very well-defined eye getting closer and closer to southeast Louisiana.
As it kept getting larger, I've never have seen a storm of that magnitude and that size.
It wasn't the levees, it was the wind, the surge, and the silence afterwards.
When you looked at it, it was the entire Gulf of Mexico, and I knew we were in trouble then.
In St. Tammany Parish, communities like Slidell, Pearl River, Lacombe, and Mandeville were blindsided by the force of Hurricane Katrina.
To us, it was another hurricane fixing to hit. We'd be able to handle it. As we found out later, it was a once-in-a-lifetime event that I'd never want to live through again.
Living through it was tough for those who chose to stay and those who had to, like Slidell Police Chief Randy Fandle, who was a sergeant with state police at the time.
It was pretty surreal. I mean, I can remember driving on I-10 and seeing people climb the fences to get on the interstate side looking for some help.
The basics, electricity, water, sewer, were wiped out. Much like the nights that followed, communication was completely dark.
Couldn't communicate, phones were all down. We had satellite phones, they didn't work.
Former St. Tammany Parish President Kevin Davis says thankfully a lot of folks took evacuation pleas seriously. For those who stayed, many needed help.
There's quite a few memories there that kind of stick with me about it.
Slidell officer Rodney West Jr. remembers being in a flooded neighborhood trying to save people.
And we were losing flashlight power and everything, and just having to leave from back in that neighborhood in the boat, and you still hear people yelling for help, and you can't get back there because there's too many trees, too many power lines, and it's definitely too dark. There was no light whatsoever.
Like many areas, much of Slidell was underwater.
It was definitely a sight to see if you had to see it. It was just kind of hard to take in at first. Just going in places in a boat right after the storm passed through that I never thought I would ride a boat in.
Wow, it's just amazing to see all this debris that used to be homes and camps.
Infrastructure across the parish was either crippled or lost. More than 40,000 homes were damaged or destroyed.
I saw houses that pine trees just cut them like a piece of cake.
Tons of concrete that made up the twin-span bridge no longer stretched across the lake. They fell to the bottom of it.
All the power lines from Covington to here were completely destroyed. I mean, just everywhere you looked, all the red lights, they were all on the ground.
Recovery wasn't easy or fast.
We're going to make it through, and that's what I kept telling people.
It would be a while before FEMA could send help. At the time, there were few local organizations prepared to step in. Initial recovery depended on neighbors helping neighbors.
These are all of the disasters that we have covered.
20 years later, lessons learned have helped change that and so much more.
We didn't have a community foundation situated in this geographic area.
Because of Katrina, the North Shore Community Foundation was established in 2007. It now acts as a lifeline for relief, recovery, and long-term stability in the wake of disasters.
When disaster strikes or any sort of pandemic emergency situation, we have the resources and the capabilities to react quickly.
Foundation President and CEO Leslie Landry says Katrina's lessons run deep. Since its creation, the foundation has pulled in more than $93 million to help communities. More than $1.5 million helped with Katrina recovery in 2008.
There's no one natural disaster that's ever the same, but we've learned so much on how to respond and what to do when a storm is in the Gulf, and be ready to strap our boots on and get to work.
It also meant a new way to work for law enforcement. Chief Fandle says local, state, and federal agencies are much more connected now, and the planning for hurricanes is never just another storm.
As agencies, we really need to work together, and we have started that since Katrina. We don't have the same communication problems that we had back then.
Parish leaders say revised emergency plans, upgraded infrastructure, and improved access to resources have put the parish in a much better place. The Twin-Span Bridge was rebuilt and renamed Frank Davis Naturally Nollins Bridge in 2015 after the longtime WWL personality. All that's changed for the better, though, didn't come without immense loss.
We did a ceremony here at the water with flowers and roses that we threw in.
On the one-year anniversary of the storm, community members gathered here on the edge of Lake Pontchartrain to remember the people who died during and after the storm.
I lost a good friend, a good man. He was cutting a tree and it back flipped on him.
Many who evacuated never came back.
I go through some subdivisions now and it breaks my heart when I think about it. Well, that's where Mr. So-and-so lived and we grew up together, and they're no longer here. They moved.
Today, St. Tammany Parish has a growing population. Part of it is because of the sudden spike in new residents who evacuated the South Shore and never returned. Looking back, Davis says he's forever grateful to a community that didn't give up on itself.
I don't know how to put into words. I'm just grateful for the community that we had, that they came together.
Parts of the North Shore will always carry Katrina's scars. They're in broken tree lines and stories passed down. They're also in the quiet resilience of a region
when we've been there
that learned you can't just wait around for help. You must be ready to give it.